Well, good morning, everybody. Today is the day of the celestial alignment. Going to be an eclipse today, I guess. So I figured I'd get out this morning and try to beat all the crazy traffic, all the people that are trying to looky-loo and driving around with their little solar glasses on. We are headed to Norman, Oklahoma. Got a broken pump rod, and a fella had some plumbing done to his pond from the windmill, so I'm gonna do a tie-in on that. I think it froze up this year. We did a little well recirculation thing that he wanted me to try to build for him. I'm not sure if that froze up, whether he didn't turn it off or what, but the pump rod's completely broken in two, so hopefully it's gonna be an easy fix. We'll see. So I'll see y'all when we get to the windmill. All right, another windy day again, I guess. So here's what we're gonna work with. Yep. So I've got to tie that in. He's got a line ran down to the pond. Yeah, it's won't be too bad. Alright, so here's what I was talking about, the little recirculating thing. He wanted to be able to open his windmill up and not flood out of his place before the pipe was ran down to the pond. So what I did is I teed out of my pipe above the well, and it goes out to this 1-inch piece of rubber that dumps back down to the casing. At the time I did that, it was the middle of summer, so there was no wind at all. So I never got to try it and see it work. So hopefully here in a little bit I'll get this sucker rod changed. See, it's broken. Not good. We got all that fixed, and then we'll see how it works. Then I'll finish tying all that into his pond, and we'll be good to go. All right. So, gotta get all this different part. Not sure this even worked. I hope it did. We're gonna know here in a little bit. So then, he said, please try to figure out a way to do this. So I told him I would. Stiff rubber. There we go. Phew. Lori's here. She would have got that off a whole lot easier than I did. Love when windmills aren't mowed around. I'll be able to to get that past that bend. Hopefully there's a coupling right here somewhere pretty close. We can separate it. I don't remember. We installed this, I'm thinking it's been 2 years ago, but again, I've slept since then. Oh, look at that. Voila. So what we're probably going to end up doing here is just cutting it and re-splicing a piece of sucker right here. I don't see one. Turn this thing off so I don't whack my head with it. Oh yeah, stop. I'm gonna attempt to lift this and see if I can see if there's a coupling here, and if so, we'll either hook a come along up to it or even back the truck up into it. I really don't want to do that because it's got a wooden pump rod and it's got 3 different. That's why I don't like wooden pump rods, because you have to have a lot of guides for them up there so they don't tear themselves up. Okay. Yeah, no coupling. So what we're going to do here. I'm going to raise this back up and move my vice grips down so I know I'm off the bottom, because this is where we're going to set our stroke length. You always want, when the windmill's at the bottom of the stroke, you want your pump to be above the bottom so it's not hitting the bottom of the pump. So we lift it up a couple inches and reset. Let that kind of guide us on our stroke length. That's a heavy lift. This is an 18-inch cylinder that we have in here, so it's got, that means it has an 18-inch stroke. The windmill itself only has about an 8-inch stroke, so there's plenty of room above it to pump without hitting anything if we lift it up. So you can see what I'm doing. So this is the pump rod that goes to the windmill. I've got to get this broken piece of sucker rod out of here. Hopefully it comes out without fighting me too hard. But since it's only been in there for a couple of years, it shouldn't be terrible. But we'll figure out what this is. I'll probably have to climb up to the top and rotate it, get it to the bottom stroke, because I'll never be able to get it ran down with the brake. All right, I'm gonna go up to the top and rotate the wheel until the windmill gets to the very bottom of the stroke. All right, now you can see we're way lower. Earlier that was way up in the air, so now this is where we're gonna be at. So what I'm gonna do now is cut this sucker rod off where we don't want it to bind up with anything in here, so I'm gonna kind of get an idea. If I cut it right here, you don't want a coupling to come up and bang on something like this, or a T or anything. So what I'm gonna do is probably cut it somewhere right in here. So it'll have 6 or 8 inches of travel right in this area, and it won't be affected by anything. So that's what we'll do. Cut it right there. Yeah. One more time. It's always better to measure twice and cut once. I'm gonna set it right there. That should be a good spot. Make sure you have a long enough blade. This is barely long enough, but it's gonna work. Right. So this had to have frozen to do what it did right here. Bent there, and I know a lot of my customers never turn their windmill off when it's cold, even though I kind of tell them to, but you know, people get busy and they start doing other things, and it just doesn't happen. So put a nice little chamfer on that. All right. This is what I use to thread it with. The 7/16 14 rigid threader. Does a really good job. It's always nice to have a couple extra sets of hands to do this with. So I'm going to grab a strap. I'll strap it, those vice grips to the tower over here to keep it from wanting to rotate on me, so I can, this takes a little bit of pressure to get it to spin, to thread, to cut the threads. And I'll be rotating this way, and this right here it's kind of like an extra set of hands. Lori's usually the one that does that, but she's not here today, so yeah, do something first. Always want to keep the cuttings from the tap out of the well, so I use a bit right down on it. All it takes. Strap in here. Right. I want this to be a little straighter, because if it don't, it'll break past center. It'll try to rotate on me, and that's what we want. We're cutting threads, y'all. Cutting some threads. It's trying to rotate still. So let's get this up. Here we go. Around. Grab some wool now. Now I gotta tell you. Go. Just like this. Oop. Something like that. I like to get about 1 inch of threads on a sucker rod. You're probably wondering, Shane, why don't you slow down a little bit? Smell the roses. Well, I charge by the hour, so I don't know. If I was doing this on my own time, it'd be a lot different. I'd probably slow down, but I mean, I'm not cutting any corners by doing it fast. I just I have to think about 3 steps ahead of where I'm at all times just to make sure I'm doing what I need to be doing and where I need to be. Okay, so now I need to get my tape measure, which is over here. All right, I'm gonna get a measurement from up here to down here. I'm gonna say that's we'll say a 37-inch piece will get it. So let's cut a 37-inch piece of sucker rod over here. Seven inches. Here on the tape measure because I have all kinds of little chunks in the truck from doing what we're doing right now, and you just end up with lots of little pieces. Every now and then you get lucky. It's 33. That would probably work. So I'm gonna pull this guy out. It's a brand new piece right here. So it's already got threads on one end, so I'm gonna use this one. Drop my tug down so I can. All right, so 37 inches. Buddy, set my finger right there. I'm gonna cut it right here. Not bad. Okay, a 37-inch piece. Stinking close enough. Deburr tool. This chain vise works pretty good, but it will start to spin on me, so I put these up as a backup so I don't spin right here and mess up our galvanizing. Little oil. This is rigid threading oil. No, not really. It's when I change oil on my trucks, I keep a little bit behind because it's, I don't know, I hate just wasting good oil when I know it'd be really good for doing something like this, you know. So we got threads in that now. Threads. Molto bellissimo. So I'm gonna clean this side up because it had some mud in the threads. Could have probably done this with a wire brush, but you can't beat running a dye down it. All right, so I'm gonna go grab a couple of couplings. I'll be right back. All right. Y'all know me, I like to put a little top dope in my threads. This really does, in, you know, 3 or however many years it is before we come back to pull the well or replace the leathers in the pump or whatever, it really does help to get the thing back apart without breaking the threads, because a lot of times we'll pull up and you know when somebody didn't put anything on the threads, because you may start pulling on it and nothing moves and you're putting a lot of pressure on it and still nothing moves. So sorry, I just didn't whack the camera in my head. Where'd my vice grips go? Oh, they're right here. I'm such an idiot. It's kind of like, you know, when you're holding your kid and you're in a tizzy because you can't find the kid that you're holding in your hand when you're at the mall or whatever. I do that a lot. Okay, that's good. I need to break it. Wipe the extra popped up there. This other end don't need it because I've got a coupling on the pump rod itself. So I'm gonna clean these up, put some pop dope in that. We're almost in business. So I didn't need to bring that. Let's go back over here to the windmill. I'll set y'all up right here again. Bear with me. Camera. All right. Okay. So our new sucker rod piece is in place. Pretty. All right, go. I've had people say that, you know, Shane, you'd probably make a whole lot more money if you'd slow down a little bit. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised that if somebody's paying you, you work as fast as you can, as efficient as you can, and get the job done as good as you can. And you'll be paid for it one way or the other. Somehow you will be repaid for it. If I was to drag this out 8 hours and charge a guy 8 hours of labor, he's not going to be happy. And I probably wouldn't sleep good tonight. So I know nothing that I'm doing here is hard. Us Oklahoma guys really have it pretty easy when it comes to working on our windmills, because we're not so deep. We can get here and fix something really easy normally. Okay. Leave myself a little handle here because I've got to get that together once I get my pipe back on. Here's this. I was telling you about the little recirculation thing I built. It has to work. There's no way it shouldn't work. Now this is choked down to 1 inch. Actually, that hole says it's 1 inch plumbing. It's probably, I don't know, it looks like about 7/8 inch hole. So we do choke it down, but this well, I'm using a 2 inch well cylinder, so it's not moving a whole lot of water. And the reason I use a really small cylinder, people will say, well, that's a really small pump. Well, it's not, because during the summertime when a big pump windmill doesn't have enough air to spin, you know, they stop spinning. This little guy, he's on a 33-foot tower. He's still going to be making water even on the days that there's not hardly any wind at all. So that's why I do it, because it ends up actually being better, which is good. All right. So up here, here's the, I've got to get this pulled loose. Yeah, it's heavy. I've got to get that screwed together. So this is the fun part right here, because this has a square wooden pump rod and it doesn't rotate. So I have to man up here and lift and rotate this thing. You know, normally I could lift it up by holding this and then rotate the pump rod itself, or the pump rod. But no, this, see, it's stationary, it cannot rotate. So this is going to be one of them hard jobs. I think I'll go ahead and start this so it's not wobbling so much. It's actually what I'll do. There. Okay, here we go. Are you ready for this, Shane? I've got to go up and rotate and try to get it started. Get my lip back here. Give me a little extra something to hold on to. When I say this is heavy, this well is 147 feet of steel sucker rod and it's full of water that I'm lifting, so it's not crazy heavy, but you know, for me it's heavy. Oh, come on, Bobby, get it up there. Oh, it's so heavy. Let's think about this. I think I'm gonna get a come along and strap up there, and then strap to this, and I can rotate up. Actually, not a come along. I will use this. I can make it work. There's a lot of ways to do everything that we do, and people in the industry are probably going, Shane, why are you an idiot? Why do you do things that way? Well, it works. It works for me. I think I want to try this one more time. I'm not giving up just yet. It's probably, I don't know, heavy. It's really super heavy. I've got to be able to do this. And it's a pain in the butt to get it hooked up there. And the problem is, it's not just a dead squat. You can't just squat it, because you're out in front of you and you're trying to get this little sucker rod attached to that. Gotta remove that top. Way too much, I'm sure. Woo, tell you. Oh yeah, move it a half inch. I don't want to move it a half inch. Big old dummy. Don't know your own strength. Okay. I only want it to move down. What I'm going to do is walk it down. And if you get it out far enough that you can bend it just ever so slightly, set my stop up here. Okay, so now I got to move it down a good 1/4 inch. Stop it right there. So, should be able to get started now. What I do is put a little bit of a pre-bend in it. Yeah, we're started. A little bit of a pre-bend in it, and it fixes it. Get that out there now. We're hooked up. What's awesome is if you can rotate this the correct way, because I do not like rotating backwards. For obvious reasons that downhole we could be loosening something. But I really tighten one down. I've been known to break a few rod couplings, so I figured out what I could and couldn't do. So I don't think it's gonna loosen. What's happening down the hole is everything's just kind of spinning along in the pump. All the sucker rod and I think we're there. You can go too much. You can break these things. I'm gonna stop right there. Okay. Get this all tightened back up now, the way it twirls. Get this back tightened up the way we found it. Let's see here. Okay. That and that. Put our chain back on. Good. Okay, let's open it up. See how we're going to be running. Let's open this valve up so you can watch it make some water. Open sesame, baby. And of course, as usual, nope, it's going to spin. Spin away. All right, pump rod's going up and down, nice and true. That's what it's supposed to do. We're making water now. Ugh. That was all plugged up with drilling mud. Look at that. See, this valve has been turned off since, I guarantee you, since the day that we installed this. And it's been in recirculation mode. And that tells me the thing's never been opened here. So I'm gonna let it start recirculating, see what it sounds like. And so water's gonna go up through this T, and in theory, go back down here. And this, ow, I got a sandbird knee. You hear it gurgling. That's almost like on your when you're opening the drain on your tub, you hear it gurgling. That's water's dancing up inside this little tube here. I call it a buffer. So this tells me that we're recirculating, because we're not, if we're blowing out the top, I would know that we're restricted. So I think it's running fine. Like I said, if we were using like a I don't know, a 2.5 or even a 3-inch cylinder, it'd probably be blowing out the top here, but since it's not, I think we're good. And gurgling is a good noise. I'm gonna open it up back here. See that? Oh yeah. Okay. There we go. See, that's a normal That's the output of every stroke. That's what a windmill does. A windmill isn't a continuous stream of water. A windmill, every stroke the windmill makes goes up, pulls water up. Goes down, it resets. And closes some valves in the pump, and then the windmill lifts it back up. So every time the windmill lifts, say an 8-inch stroke, on that 8-inch stroke it's moving water up roughly 8 inches. And since this is an 1.25 inch pipe and the pump is 2 inches, it's actually going to lift it a little bit more than 8 inches because of the diameter of the pipe, and you know. But anyway, so I call that pretty good output. Look at that. Good. More drilling mud. See that? Keeps coming out. This thing actually needed pumped. It's all up inside of here. I can feel it. It'll just rinse out. All right, I'm gonna do a battery change and we will get this all tied in. We'll be done with this job. I'm gonna turn it back off. Set it down. And we should be able to rotate this. Didn't go too far. Went too far, idiot. Can you believe it? I can do it. Redo it. So close, Shane. You just screwed up. Okay, here we go again. Oh, yeah. I think it does help. Around like that. Okay, so now I gotta move it down a good 1/4 inch. Stop it right there. Go. Should be able to get started now. What I do is put a little bit of a pre-bend in it. Yeah, we're started. A little bit of a pre-bend in it, and it fixes it. Get that on there now. We're hooked up. And what's awesome is if you can rotate this the correct way, because I do not like rotating backwards for obvious reasons. That downhole we could be loosening something, but I really tighten them down. I've been known to break a few rod couplings, so I figured out what I could and couldn't do. So I don't think it's going to loosen. What's happening down the hole is everything's just kind of spinning along in the pump. All the sucker rod and I think we're there. You can go too much. You can break these things. I'm gonna stop right there. Okay. Get this all tightened back up now. The way it twirls. Get this back tightened up the way we found it. Let's see here. Tight. That and that. Put our chain back on. good. Okay, let's open it up. See how we're gonna be running. Open this valve up so you can watch it make some water. Open sesame, baby. And of course, as usual, nope, it's gonna spin. Spin away. Alright, pump rod's going up and down nice and true. That's what it's supposed to do. We're making water now. Ugh. That was all plugged up with drilling mud. Look at that. See, this valve has been turned off since, I guarantee you, since the day that we installed this. And it's been in recirculation mode. And that tells me this thing's never been opened here. So I'm gonna let it start recirculating, see what it sounds like. And so water's gonna go up through this T, and in theory, go back down here. And this, ow, I got a sandburned knee. You hear it gurgling. That's almost like on your, when you're opening the drain on your tub, you hear it gurgling. That's water's dancing up inside this little tube here. I call it a buffer. So this tells me that we're recirculating because we're not, if we're blowing out the top, I would know that we're restricted. So I think it's running fine. Like I said, if we were using like a I don't know, a 2.5 or even a 3-inch cylinder, it'd probably be blowing out the top here, but since it's not, I think we're good. And gurgling is a good noise. I'm gonna open it up back here. See that? Oh yeah. Okay. There we go. See, that's a normal. That's the output of every stroke. That's what a windmill does. A windmill isn't a continuous stream of water. A windmill, every stroke the windmill makes goes up, pulls water up. Goes down, it resets. And closes some valves in the pump, and then the windmill lifts it back up. So every time the windmill lifts, say an 8-inch stroke, on that 8-inch stroke, it's moving water up roughly 8 inches. And since this is an 1.25 inch pipe, and the pump is 2 inches, it's actually going to lift it a little bit more than 8 inches because of the diameter of the pipe, and you know. But anyway, so I call that pretty good output. Look at that. Good. More drilling mud. See that? Keeps coming out. This thing actually needed pumps. It's all up inside here. I can feel it. It'll just rinse out. All right, I'm gonna do a battery change, and we will get this all tied in. We'll be done with this job. I'm gonna turn it back off. All right, brand new battery. So now, let's do some plumbing. I'm gonna set y'all right here above this pretty place. Maybe you can see some. Nope, not there. So right there. All right. I love that stuff. It's beautiful. What time is that? Yep. You got something down here and everything. That's great. Yeah, right now that windmill's just recirculating. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Sounds kind of cool, actually. Like I said, this is the first one I've ever done because it's, I don't know, I've always wanted to do it, but I've never needed to do it on my own stuff, of course. So, because I never have the initiative to do anything for myself. If somebody else wants it, I'll do it. Even if I want it really bad, I'm not going to do it because I don't know. I take care of other people way before I take care of myself. It's the way it's supposed to be, I think. At least that's what I was taught. And I'm not a plumber by any stretch of the imagination. My dad was. He plumbed for many years. Of course, I rode around with him a lot. See what happened. And I learned a lot. Plumbing's pretty simple, especially out here because it doesn't have to be pretty. And we don't have to worry about, you know, the fall, the grade, or anything. Fluid really moving because it's going to go downhill by itself. So it's not really terrible if it doesn't just go crazy flowing here. Like, we're not having to get water to a septic tank or anything. It's super easy stuff. Gotta get short little piece for this to glue it in. I usually use the, you know, the red hot blue glue, but I'm out of it. Actually, I'm out of it because I don't use it enough, and the stuff ends up getting kind of thick, and I don't trust it at that point. Once it starts to get thick, nope, ain't trusting it. Not me. Work, y'all. I want to work. Try to do this all in one fell swoop. All this. That will get water to the pond. I don't care for above ground ran water lines, but that's the way he had it set up, so I'm gonna complete it the way they want it. That's what he had, so it's all put together. All in all, this was a pretty simple job. I'm happy with it. Pump rod came out wonderful. There's the old one. I don't know if you can tell how bent up it is. So when the well freezes up, when it just, so this guy right here, once it was in you know, it was in circulation mode, always running, and then when it gets really cold and it keeps pumping, there's nowhere for the water to go because this will freeze, and it'll blow out this thing until it starts to fill that up with ice, and then it can't go anywhere. It can't hardly move up, it can't push it down. So what happens is it just starts kind of bending this back and forth like a piece of wire and ends up just breaking it. So that is what happened to that. Sad, because all it takes is walking out here and turning the thing off. But anyway, I got some tools to pick up now, and I think we'll make it home in time to see the eclipse for sure. I appreciate y'all watching today. I know it wasn't a very fun, a cool job by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one that we actually do a lot because in Oklahoma there's a lot of windmills that, like I said, are just left to run day in, day out. And that's a chance that the owner is taking by doing that, is they're gonna get to call me out sooner or later to fix something. Luckily this time it was an easy fix. So we're in and out of here in an hour, a few parts, but customer's gonna be happy. He got his windmill back going. Gonna start filling that pond up. Actually, I think I can go ahead and open this valve up now. Look at that. So that's gonna start flowing all the way down to that pond. So it runs, that's probably a 500-foot long, well, no, it probably goes to that creek. So it's probably, so you can see it goes here all the way down to there. And I guess it's just gonna run into that neck. So anyway, appreciate y'all hanging out with me today, and I'm gonna try to do one of these little short videos every time I go out and do a job, so you'll learn something. I'm always learning something. If I don't learn something every time I come out here and do something, even though I'm teaching myself, that's something I just learned, I'm still learning. So anyway, windmill's happy. Let's go to the house.